Tropical Cyclone Alfred is toying with the people of southeast Queensland and northern New South Wales, slowing its progress so that it might not cross the coast till tomorrow night or Saturday morning, possibly building more power in the meantime. But the fury of the stormy seas is already being felt along the coast, good for some brave or crazy souls, but bad for others.
Cyclone Alfred's definitely delivered some good barrels for the boys and girls. Weather for non-surfers, but for us surfers, yeah, we love it.
We need to tell them over and over again, stay out of the water. It's dangerous. And it's really in an effort to keep people who are a bit stupid safe.
Yeah, elsewhere, the sandbagging and other preparations are continuing. Everyone has to prepare for the worst, while of course they hope for the best. And they've got at least some more daylight to work in tomorrow. Let's go straight to our reporter, Harry Clark, who joins us from Brisbane's Bayside. Thanks for joining us, Harry. It's a strange combination, isn't it, when you've got a lot of onlookers and surfers sort of enjoying the build-up, but a lot of people, probably most, get your sense of that, really busy battening down the hatches.
Yeah, well, what's interesting about this, good evening, Chris, is just how many people are expected to be affected. There are obviously, in excess of 3 million people in the greater Brisbane area, and the cyclone's coming right for us. It's about 250 k's off the coast at the moment, and it's barrelling right towards Brisbane. The latest path, it looks like it's going to come in the northern suburbs, but what's interesting is that the Bureau experts keep saying that it's the southern flank, they're calling it, the southern fringe of this cyclone, where the winds are going to be particularly heavy, up to 150 k's an hour. And what's interesting is that it's being felt first down on the Gold Coast, which is further south from where I am now than what we are to the cyclone. So they're starting to cop it a bit further down on the Gold Coast. Just in the last hour or so, it started to come in here at Victoria Point, which is on Brisbane's Bayside. You can see the surf starting to pick up a bit here. There's been what's called a red alert from maritime authorities. You aren't allowed out on the water, out on the open waterways. All boats and watercraft vessels have to be moored. And yeah, the storm surge is the big concern here on the Bayside. What they call the astronomical high tide is the highest tide expected for a year. And the Bureau of Meteorology is saying that the storm surge from Tropical Cyclone Alfred, in the worst case scenario, if it crosses the coast in time with that high astronomical tide, could be above 1 metre above what the high tide mark would usually be. So that puts this entire sort of beachfront here at Victoria Point within the tidal storm surge zone. And there's a lot of houses. There's plenty of low country here on these baysides. Like all these houses, these waterfront houses here, are technically within that storm surge zone. So there's certainly plenty of concern. There's already 5,000 odd homes that have lost power in southeast Queensland. 2,000 SES personnel have been responding, and there's been 1,500 odd calls for help from the SES service. There's trees starting to come down over power lines, cutting power, and it's really started to kick off now, although it's been a pretty slowly moving beast so far, Tropical Cyclone Alfred.
Yeah, great explanation, Harry. Just to explain that thing about the south of the cyclone, of course, the cyclone, the winds go in a clockwise direction. So south of the cyclone, the wind will be coming off the ocean, and north of the cyclone will be coming off the land after it crosses land. And as you were intimating at the start there, I mean, obviously Queensland is used to cyclones. They're usually much further north. And of course, when they're much further north, they're hitting much more sparsely populated areas. The idea of having a major cyclone hitting an area where there are 3 million people is just about unheard of.
Well, it is not just about unheard of. It has been heard of before. 1970 was the last time there was a cyclone in southeast Queensland. Down on the Gold Coast, they had one in the 50s. So very rare indeed, but not unheard of. And you're right, most of the time cyclones happen up in North Queensland. They're used to it. And the countryside is a lot better with runoff up there. It's just kind of, built, the terrain is built to sort of run off and withstand those tropical cyclones in those tropical areas. But it just remains to be seen, exactly how it's going to respond with all the developments happening since the last time there was a storm of this nature nature in southeast Queensland. People, as you say, are not used to it, but we do know extreme weather events. Obviously, Brisbane's flooded. The 2011 flood was enormous, and there were thousands, hundreds of thousands of people impacted from that. So we know at the very least to heed the warnings and things like not driving through floodwaters and getting inside and tidying up your home from potential missiles that may be laying around your backyard. People do seem to be heeding those warnings, but still plenty of people coming out to the waterfront to just have a bit of a look as it gets closer and closer to hitting landfall.
Great stuff, Harry. Great to get your stuff from on the scene, and great to cross to a reporter on the beach there in his shorts rather than people yabbing around in suits and whatever in these conditions.
Barefoot as well, Chris.
Well done, mate. Great stuff. Harry Clark there, barefoot in his shorts on the beach in Queensland, giving us all the preparations there for Cyclone Alfred as it bears down on that southeast Queensland coast.